You want to know how I make some really awesome podcasts? It's called Anchor. For one, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for free so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcasts with no minimum listenership. It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And download your free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Who's going to join me? Come on, let's have some fun. Hello everyone, my name is Sarah. Welcome back to Rogue Radio, and today I have a good guest. His name is Matt. And
Hello.
He's gonna tell us about his mission trip to Mexico. Is there anything, before I get into any questions, do you want anything to say?
Man, I'm just happy to be on this podcast with you, Sarah. I think this is a great idea. Anybody listening, just keep following Sarah. This is a great thing to bring forth news and information that's, raw, that's, not just basic information, but stuff that's going to spark your interest, is going to challenge you, inspire you. Just raw news, right? Mm-hmm. The real. We keeping it 100. Keeping it 100. This the Rogue/100 podcast. Keep it 100. But yeah, I'm glad to be here with you on this podcast, and excited to answer these questions you got for me.
Okay. Yeah. Your mission trip was in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so what was it like compared to the U.S.? Like, what do they have that we don't, and what do we have that they don't?
Yeah. Well, first thing that stood out to me while I was there, first thing that comes to mind was that they're really big on family there, which, in the U.S., family's a big deal, of course, but there it's just really taken seriously far as, the dad's, running the home, the mom is following his lead, they're working as a team. The kids really have a high respect for their parents. So family's really a big deal there. The dad's just not going to be giving their daughters away to anybody, right. Type of thing. So I really observed there's a big respect, a big importance on family. So that's something that really stood out to me. I was like, wow, like that's really cool to see. Even when I was speaking, I had asked one of the other pastors, like, a lot of these kids, adopted or from orphanages, or, a lot of times you go overseas and you just think that it's not America. So a lot of the kids are going to be, be adopted or come from orphan homes or different things like that. And, they was like, no, most of the kids here, come from, live with their parents, their blood parents, are in a stable home, so that really stood out to me. So that was something that was big for me, that I was thinking like, wow, kind of inspired, like, man, can we, be more like this in the U.S. in a way, so that was something that stood out. I would also say the Mexican food, definitely, I don't know if I'll be able to do Taco Bell anymore, shout out to Taco Bell, but the real Mexican food that was a whole nother level of Mexican food, like every day, it was like, wow, and it was a lot of new Mexican food I've never had before, stuff I've never tried or heard of. I'm like, man, what is this? This ain't on the regular American, Mexican restaurant menu. And so, but I tried a lot of new stuff, but everything was just so good. It was just so fresh. It was like, wow. So, I would say the Mexican food's definitely on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I've only had maybe a handful of authentic stuff, but even that, I mean, it's within the States, so it's probably not even as good as what you've tried.
Right. So yeah, those are two things that really stood out to me as far as the difference. The roads, I'll probably say the last thing was probably the roads. So the roads there are like crazy though. Like, I mean, if you don't have really good skills with driving, don't try to drive in Mexico. Like, there are roads on top of roads, like just ghetto roads, all over the place. Like, I mean, I was glad I wasn't driving down there. It was, so that was something that was crazy too.
So what did you experience? Like, what kind of spiritual danger and physical danger did you experience, if you had any type of experience like that?
Yeah, so man, our second morning there, we were planning to go to a city that was 8 hours away from where we were originally from, which was Mexico City. I can't even pronounce the name of the city, I'm sorry, where we were going. But long story short, that morning, one of the main intercessors there had a dream that previous night. And in the dream, we were out in this like open field where we were planning on having the next like crusade or whatever. And in the dream, it was like some helicopters that were flying around the meetings. And in the dream, the helicopters landed and basically came out was a bunch of cartel, which are like the gangsters, the gang leaders there in Mexico. They're called the cartel. And they came out and basically like kidnapped a bunch of the kids, basically like disrupted the whole meeting. It was just like a very, very violent, situation. And so when she shared that with all of us, we just had to pray about it. We kind of decided that we were going to still go, just be wise, but still go and hold the meetings, not, be moved by fear. So from that point on, we had to like take a back route to get to where we were going. We kind of wanted to stay hidden. We didn't want to be seen. Because I guess one of the things there, what I learned is that they had what's called hawks, which these are like teenagers that work with the cartel, and they will like sit in different like high places, like mountain places, hidden places, in the cities, and kind of see who's coming in and out of the areas, and then, tell that back to the cartel, so we didn't want to be seen. So we had to like kind of take some back roads, kind of be wise about how we were moving. And then we end up still holding the meetings. We prayed through it. We had a lot of people praying for us and everything went well, so nothing happened. But just the scenario of like the possible danger of something could happen, that was kind of crazy. That was the first time I experienced that, being in a van headed towards this new city. It was pitch black outside. It was like going through these mountains. You couldn't see anything. So in my natural mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I might not, I might not see another day. This might be it for me. You just, all types of things running through your mind. You're like, oh my gosh. So that was interesting, but my spirit was, I was confident. I knew that God was going to protect us, And then there was a part of me that caused me to realize, like, man, I was born to be a missionary, because a part of me was like excited about the whole situation. It was kind of like fun. It was adventurous. It was like, wow, this is cool. So I was like,
mission
wow.
Trips are fun, even though you got a mission.
Yeah. So it was at the same time kind of exciting to like experience that. So yeah.
So how would you describe the people there? Like, not just the people in Mexico, but also the group that you went with. So.
Yeah. So we were partnered with a ministry down there. It's called Kingdom Advancers International. And they have like tons of house churches, community type churches down there. So they hosted us. And all of the ministry leaders, the families, a part of the ministries, everybody that we worked with that were part of, if you could say, the overall team, they were just wonderful. So kind. It's really nice, super friendly. Again, just you feel like you were a part of a bigger family, Even some of the older leaders that we worked with, I told them as I was leaving, I was like, you guys are my Mexican parents now, because it was just, they just so embraced us and, welcomed us in. So they were just really friendly, really nice, and also just really had a strong passion for God, to see His kingdom come, just to really see, lives change in Mexico. So they were just real genuine, it wasn't, they weren't like super religious or super, we had lots of fun with them. We would go to a meeting and really just, go hard for ministry, really, preach and minister and all those things, and then come back to one of their houses and just have a fun time, have a cookout. They were really laid back. So they just had a great balance of like spirituality, but also just normalcy, if I could say, just regular people, good people. So yeah, they were really awesome. And yeah, they're like family now, so.
That's really cool. What did you enjoy the most? What did you dislike the most?
What did I enjoy the most? Well, like I've already mentioned, and everybody that asked me this question, like, how was Mexico? What did you like about it? I just can't help but say the first thing was the food. So if anybody listening, anybody get the chance, to go to Mexico, definitely go. The food there is awesome. So definitely that. but also again the people. And then we also one day we're able to go on like a little canoe adventure. So we actually went to like this area where it's like tons of like rivers throughout these mountains, but you're able to like go canoeing.
I didn't know they had mountains in
Yeah,
Mexico.
tons of mountains there. Like I didn't know that either. Like I'm driving and I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm in Colorado. Like these mountains was all over the place. Yeah, so we were able to go canoeing one day. That was pretty cool. Actually was like swimming inside of like a mountain cave. Like it was like a big water like drop. I don't even know how to describe it, but we were able to like swim inside of like a mountain cave. It was really cool. So that was really fun. We enjoyed that. But the main thing also just enjoyed seeing how many lives were touched. You know, like we seen tons and tons of people get healed from physical ailments. You know, people that had problems with walking that were like able to walk again. People that were dealing with even just drug addictions and like even had testimonies of some teenagers that were gonna like commit suicide like previous days before one of the meetings. Like they were trying to take their lives, and then they came to one of the meetings and got saved and like got really changed their lives, touched their lives. So just the testimonies like that we heard of those type of things like was the greatest thing of all that brought joy to me. Was just so great to hear, really just put it all in perspective. Like that's what it's all about. I would do it all over again. The putting your life on the line and being away from your family for a whole week and just all of that. Just to be able to play a part in seeing people's lives touched like that by God. So that was the greatest joy of all. So yeah.
And what did you take with you from the trip, like emotionally or, anything spiritually?
What did I take from the trip? Yeah. Besides a bunch of musty clothes back, from definitely took back. One of the things I would say, which I didn't realize until I got back and was doing ministry, here again, then in Toledo, was I think I was really like enlarged spiritually. I'm just even in my spiritual gifts, as far as just being prophetic, as far as just leadership, just a lot of different aspects. I feel like I really was stretched because I was able to be around some more older, mature leaders there that I spent a lot of time with. Just being in an atmosphere like that where you kind of were stretched to do different things. I just feel like I was really I came back with just a greater measure of just confidence and of just being able to like, hey man, this is what I've been called to be, and I'm gonna do it, So I think I definitely brought back just a greater level of just overall ministry development, I guess you could say. So that, and then also just I would say inspiration, because I'm like, I want to do this again and again and again, as far as going to places like that and being a part of what God's doing in other countries. I'm like, it just kind of confirmed for me, like, I want to do this as a lifestyle. I want to be able to go places and really affect change around the world. So just on the way back on the plane, I was just thinking to myself, like, man, God, when's the next mission trip? Also thinking like, I want other people I know to be a part of this, So Sarah, get ready, because we know you and Terrence gonna be rolling soon. And just
I remember at 16 I went to New Orleans, and it was just I won't say after Katrina hit, but it was sometime after that tragedy, and seeing everybody suffer and seeing everybody just kind of grab on to any type of hope that we gave them. It made me want to go back the moment I came back home. So I was like, I can understand like the inspiration, you wanting to just keep on doing that.
Wow, that's awesome. That's what it's all about, It's like so often in, as believers, we just, it's like, man, we get caught up in just, going to church and just living our mundane lives, and but it's like, man, when you really experience something like that, it just makes you really realize, like, man, we was called for so much more. Like every believer, to get out on the front lines, put your life on the lines for Christ. Like, it's what it's all about, So yeah, it was just, man, it was really inspiring.
Did you have the opportunity to speak there in
Yeah.
Mexico?
Yeah, it was really cool because I was one of the speakers for a team of speakers. So it was me and 3 other ministers, and so we basically were like a team ministry. So that was really cool because most of the meetings, you know, we would have, or a few of us would share for like 10, 15 minutes, and then one of us would like give the main message, but then we also all would, you know, at the end, you know, pray for people and stuff like that, prophesy over people. So it was really like a team dynamic going on. So that was really cool because really just showed me like, man, this should be something that's just being done in the body of Christ everywhere. You know, we so often just get caught up in one man doing everything, but we was all about team ministry. You know, we was working together, and so I definitely got a chance to speak, you know, every day. We did like leadership meetings in the morning, and then we did like evangelistic crusades at night. And so
what did you speak about, like, specifically in either one or many of your sermons?
Yeah. So the morning time we did leadership meetings, and so for the leaders, they brought together like all of the different pastors and leaders from the different churches, and so we were able to just encourage them and things like that. And so in the mornings, really God really kind of told me to focus more on just giving them prophetic words that kind of was giving them vision, encouragement for just the year ahead. And so each time God just gave me like a word to share with them that was really prophetic. And so specifically for their regions, for their churches. So that was in the morning. So I was able to do that and kind of with that talk about, you know, how God gives every leader grace to fulfill their calling, you know. So it's really talking to them about how God not only in Philippians, you know, when it talks about we can do all things through Christ, God was kind of showing me how that not only means like, you know, you can be content and be like, you know, a good Christian and be meek and be patient and all the fruits of the Spirit, you know. But God was saying also that means like I've given you grace to do mighty things, to do miracles, to change cities, to, you know, do the works of the kingdom, you know. So I was coming from that angle. I was able to talk about that a lot. So that was really cool. And then at night we did more evangelistic messages. So it was all about Jesus. You know, he died for you. He's come to save you, to give you life more abundantly. And it was all geared towards that. So that was great, you know. And so I think the greatest miracle of all was just seeing the people come to Christ through those messages, you know. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Aside from your missions trip, you're the creator of New Breed Ministries. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, New Breed Ministry. So, man, that's been fun. It's been fun. That's something, long story short, man, when I was like in my early 20s, I spent just a lot of time in prayer and fasting. Like literally would go days just in my room, just praying, seeking God, you know, wanting his will for my life. And he just put it in my heart, just so real, so big, and just really started to tell me that, you know, I've called you to help raise up a generation, a new breed generation of sons and daughters, you know, of young people, but just people in general who would really walk in the fullness of Christ and really be everything that he intended for them to be. And so from there, you know, we started New Breed. We did like events and in Toledo, here in my local town, Toledo, and it's been almost, I think, 6 years now. So it's been a journey. And so right now we have a weekly meeting we do every Thursday night with some wonderful people. It's a small group, but we're all just focused on really going after God and his kingdom and really seeing change in our community, but also just we come together to pray for the nations too, to pray for our country, to pray for the world, and we really just are really a community of world changers is what I like to call it, you know. So it's not just about, you know, just playing church or just going to a regular Bible study just to say you're going to a Bible study. Like we're really trying to be just the salt and light and be, you know, kingdom leaders in our community. So that's really what New Breed is all about. Yeah.
What does New Breed mean?
What does New Breed mean? That's a good question. What does it mean? Man, that's a whole message right there, Sarah. I could preach all that. I could break that down on different layers.
I had to swap out a question, man, because my question started to get just a little bit repetitive. Just a little bit.
But if I could put it in one sentence or in a nutshell, New Breed means a a generation and generations being and walking in the fullness of Christ, like I just mentioned. So, you got what you call, a lot of times you hear in society, church folk, or religious people, or
religious junkies,
different things like that. And so, those are kind of, in a way, people who, where we go to church, or we have some form of God, or we, we're walking with Christ on some level, but God really has called us to be a generation that, walks in the mature things of Christ. Really, the Bible says, the earth is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. And so New Breed is really about empowering people to be just that, to be the sons and daughters of God, who are maturely living as, examples of Christ in the earth. So the new breed,
Right.
Yeah.
I like it.
And it really is not about an age, man. So, it's not about an age. That's just more of a mindset. You can be 12, you can be 78, and you can be a part of the new breed generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see.
These are some good questions.
They are. Thank you. How has the ministry to you made an impact?
In my life, or you mean just
in your life, or in any aspect in
Other
the city or with you?
Okay. Yeah. So I would say, again, our focus is not like being, having some big audience or a lot of like things that might appear, quote unquote awesome on the outside, or we really are about, individual discipleship and seeing people individually be everything God called them to be. So when I look through those lenses, throughout the years, we've been able to really make an impact in people's lives for individually, far as, helping people to really understand more of who their purpose is, who they are in Christ. Have helped a lot of young adults, really just transition in life. And a lot of times, a lot of the people we've connected with and have been a part of New Breed over the years, they've kind of come in seasons, they'll come in a season and be out in the next season. So it's kind of like a transitional ministry where, a lot of people have come in to kind of get empowered, to get discipled in a season, and then, kind of be on their way. So, but if I look back, we've been able to like touch a lot of young people's lives and just people in general. So I'm grateful for that, man. I could give different examples, which I don't know if we have time for, but people that have, whose lives, have been changed in many different ways. So it's just been a blessing. It hasn't been easy, in any type of ministry. Anybody even listening, if you trying to do ministry or be in ministry, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy thing. It's not all just, we look at people's Facebook pictures and stuff and post and be like, oh, I want to do that. Or I want to, do something great for God. And it's a lot more than just the pictures you see on Facebook, homie.
Right.
So it takes a lot of work and grind. But you can do it.
Definitely a commitment.
Yeah, but it's all worth it, It's all worth it. When you think about like the question you're asking me, it helps put it in perspective. When you're like, man, you think about the lives that you have impacted, and it's like, man, it's worth it,
Personally, in my life, when I don't remember the first time specifically when I came to New Breed, but when Terrence took me, it kind of made me realize that there's a second skin to being a Christian, and it's nothing like...
That's a message right there.
It's nothing like you would see in like a big church, to where you have to look nice and do certain things that you feel like you're supposed to do. It's more of the free spirit of Christ, and the having that and harnessing it and using that to help other people get away from the I don't want to say humdrum, but I call it Christian confectionery, where it's just it's not fake, but it's completely repetitive to where it's not necessarily feeding you the right stuff, basically.
Yeah, that's good.
So when I saw that, my eyes were kind of open. I'm like, there ain't no way I'm coming back to my old church.
Yeah, well, I never thought of it like that. Second layer of, well, how do you say it again? Second skin of Christianity. Wow, that's deep. That's good. Wow.
I would say it's like a snake shedding its skin, but that's
yeah.
a snake is a bad. I don't know what other Well, I guess you could say a fox too, because
Yeah.
they have like a winter coat and a summer coat. But
Yeah,
no,
just basically just going deeper into something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Besides the weekly meetups, what are the other areas in New Breed that you have decided to do? Like, what events and
Yeah. So 2020 and beyond, man. Everybody look out for with New Breed Ministries. And this has been a plan from the beginning, but it's finally time. Things have come to a point where guys like it's time to do it. We're going to be doing different New Breed events in different cities. So we're basically, man, we're going to be being mobile and global, so we're excited about it. Basically what we're doing with New Breed in Toledo, it's kind of going to be an expression of that in a way. And so we're going to be doing like pop-up events in Chicago and Columbus, Orlando, different cities that God has like put on our hearts, not just random places, but places that we've been praying for, that God's really called us to go to. And we're going to be hosting New Breed events in these places this year and beyond. So we're excited about it. We've already been to Africa, and different, even like we talked about mission trips. So taking New Breed and doing things in different places that we've been talking and working with in different countries. So yeah, mobile and global. So keep us in your prayers. If you're interested at all in joining a missional team, hit us up. And so this is not something, I'm just doing. This is like our community. Sarah is a part of it, we got some others that are, we're missional minded. And so we're going to be taking things on the road going forward, so we're excited about it. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
All
right. Peace.
All right. That was my segment, and hope you guys enjoy it. Drop me a voice message if you're interested in learning more about any mission trips or New Breed or anything like that. All right. See you guys later.